Welcome back to the Deadlight Society. I'm Adam.
And I'm Michael.
And today we're going to be talking about It Chapter 1
We're going to talk about them?
Why do we always fuck up the fucking movie title every single episode?
Why not? We're not perfect. That's all right.
You may not be perfect, but I am, so...
I believe
Get
it.
fuck kid.
Yep, that's you.
Mr. Perfect.
Yep.
Just like Bill Skarsgård's Pennywise.
Very true. As we all know, as I discussed last week, these are my favorite movies in the whole entire world. And I was really excited to dive into them for the 33rd time, as I've watched them many times before.
Is this actually like 30s that you've watched these?
Honestly, probably. Maybe more.
Oh, you just turn it on like normally as like background noise, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah. That and to literally just watch them because they just make me happy, so. But
I started doing that with the Screams now, and I genuinely think my favorite horror movie has changed.
I saw that you messaged me that earlier, either yesterday or today or something like that. And I saw
something about Wes Craven films just like hits harder than John Carpenter. Maybe because I see now like John Carpenter looks back on his work and is kind of like indifferent to it, like he doesn't really like it, at least certain stuff. Like I think he's kind of sick of Halloween at this point. I mean, he was for years. Now he's just like with the new ones and shit, even though he's part of it and making money.
I know this is an episode for it, but how do you feel about Kirby's character coming back to Scream 6 with Hayden Panettiere?
I'm so glad because like it didn't show her actually dying in Scream 4. Like it was like an off-screen stabbing. She was an awesome character. Like I loved her in Scream 4.
She's a fan favorite.
I hated Emma Roberts.
Really?
Yeah. She sucked. Like I didn't like her performance. It was like it didn't fit inside the world at all, I don't think.
I feel like a lot of the characters that she's played in various different movies kind of feel like that, but I feel like I just like her because like she's the generation that we grew up with, if that makes sense. So like I like her character when I see
I give her credit for American Horror Story.
Yeah.
I do not give her credit for Scream 4.
That's fair. I feel like that's probably a popular opinion.
Was she in Scream Queens too?
Yes, she was.
Okay. I haven't seen that yet.
I started watching that, and I don't know, just didn't get to finish it because I didn't really... It seemed like funny to me, like
teen drama.
Yeah, like something that I probably wouldn't be that interested in. I watched the Scream MTV series. I just finished it up a few weeks ago, actually, and that one was okay. I feel like it got a lot more hype than I would give it. I think it was just okay. I could probably give it like a 6.
Looking back now on that, I keep interrupting you, and I'm sorry. It's gonna keep happening. But looking back on the Scream series now, I kind of like that costume a lot. Like the poncho and just the white mask. Like it's not Ghostface, but like
that's
it's still...
that was one of the things I disliked about it.
I like the poncho look. Like I would definitely go for a Ghostface mask, like a normal Ghostface mask with a poncho. Maybe. I mean, that was literally my Halloween costume last year.
Maybe if it had like the original Ghostface mask, I would have been down for that, but I just didn't like that they tried to like, okay, this is Scream, but it's not the Scream mask, and I was just like, don't really know if I fuck with that.
Some sort of licensing issue with the company.
I mean, but then in the 3rd season they have the Ghostface mask, so I'm not sure why. Like the first two seasons it has this like different character, and then the 3rd season it has the regular Ghostface mask. So I'm not sure why, but I mean, I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna say that I hated it because I didn't hate it. I felt like, I don't know, there was just like a few misses from that I didn't like.
I think that's pretty much the common consensus on it. Just there's a lot of beats to like the Scream franchise as a whole that it falls flat on, and it's not the same.
And each season that well, there's only 3 seasons, but I guessed who the killers were. Like it wasn't something that was super hard to.
That's kind of Scream too.
I mean, yeah, you're right.
You pay attention to them.
When we went to go see the new one in the theater, we both kind of were like, yeah. We know.
I think we even looked at each other too when she came up. And we were like,
yeah. So it's definitely not hard to guess, but I don't know. I think I definitely appreciate the movies a lot more than the series. And like I said, I tried Scream Queens, but I didn't even finish like the first 2 episodes. I don't think.
I've never watched an episode. But that's besides the point. We are here
Yes.
for it.
I know we got a little sidetracked.
Oh well. That was new horror news
Yes.
for all your ear holes.
Yes.
And it's important because Hayden Panettiere
Coming
is
back.
awesome in Scream.
Yes. Curious to see where that's gonna go in the movie. But we'll talk about that later.
Once we get to, we're gonna
Yeah.
do Scream eventually, like the whole franchise. We're gonna sit down and watch that. So once we get to that point,
Probably. We had a whole plan that we were gonna dive into Scream like next, but we're just so overdoing franchises right now that we just want to do like individual movies just to make it easier on us, because it's like, how do we put in episodes? Like, do we do more than one movie? Do we combine, like, it's hard to try to differentiate right now. So I mean, we'll dive into them later, but right now we're just gonna move into like individual movies just to get a lineup going and make it a little bit easier for us. But originally Scream was supposed to be next, but now next is Terrifier, so stay
still
tuned for
sticking
that.
to the clown theme.
Yes, clowns are taking over for 3 weeks, as we posted on our Facebook page.
Could be 4, but I think actually Firestarter is next. The new Firestarter.
Firestarter, Bloody Birthday. What else?
I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, we have a few that we have set and we're gonna dive into shortly. So if any of those sound interesting, stay tuned. We're getting there.
Hell yeah!
But as we said, this week, the Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, so 2017 and 2019, both are available to stream right now on HBO Max. They're both rated R, I believe. I don't think it's any worse than that.
Yeah, no
And Andy Muschietti is the director for both. So 2017, Chapter 1, you're looking at 2 hours and 15 minutes to sit through it. The box office, it made $701 million, which, if I'm not wrong, I believe that's like the highest grossing horror movie in history.
Like the cinematography and like the special effects and everything in this movie are fucking good.
Yeah, I love it. Everything about it. But some ratings, Rotten Tomatoes gave it an 86%, IMDb a 7.3 out of 10, and Google has an 84%. My rating, I'm going to give a pre-Fear of Flop rating. I'm going to give it a Fear 10. Be one of the only ones to get a Fear 10 from me, as it's my favorite movie. But what would you give it?
I'm honestly probably in a Fear 10 too. Like, I don't think there's any problems with it.
No.
Like, there's some stuff that I'm like, why did they cut that out from like the book, or like why did they do that?
Yeah,
but like there's really little to complain about.
Yeah, as I was watching it, literally I only have 2 things under the dislike category, and one of them is just the fact that it makes me laugh more than it scares me. But that could just be because I've seen it so many times, so I can't really tell if that's like.
Well, fucked up sense of humor plus seeing it a lot.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I laugh at this movie more than I'm scared of it. I feel like the first time that I watched it in the theaters, there might have been some points that scared me. I do remember in the first movie, in the scene with Stanley, when he's in the synagogue and he's practicing his lines that he has to say, and then
Hebrew.
Yeah, and then he goes back to the room because his dad tells him that he's shitty, basically, and he's not doing what he's supposed to do. He goes back to the room, and then the lady on the painting is there, and she, like, pops out. I think that scene scared the shit out of me for a while.
Dude, I hate that scene so much.
I can remember.
The woman is so fucking creepy.
I can remember being in the theaters, and, like, I knew obviously something was coming, and, like, I covered my face, and then I just, couldn't see it for a while.
First time I watched this in the theater, there was a lot of times where I was like peering through my fingers,
literally.
like pretending like I'm watching.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the ones that I remember that scared the shit out of me for some reason. It's just like the lady's it's a scary face, and the teeth in it, just the whole thing is just like, whoa. So I think
It was a spoiler without a spoiler warning. How dare you?
Yeah, sorry. We didn't even really get into like the traditional like pre and then start talking about it just because we've seen these so many times, and we watched them on our own this time instead of together. So just gonna dive right into it. So I guess spoiler warning. Spoiler warning from this point forward. I mean, hopefully you've seen this movie already because it's 2017. It's not like it came out like last year or something. So.
Oh yeah, Chapter 1 is old.
Yeah. 2017.
Yeah, 5 years old.
But that's one of my dislikes, was just the fact that I laugh more now than anything. And then the other dislike that I have is that there's a deleted scene in this movie that they didn't include that I feel like, not that it would have made it like 10 times better, but it was a deleted scene that definitely could have enhanced Henry's character and just the overall shock factor of, after he kills his dad at the end of chapter 1 and he goes to get the losers when they're at the house on Newbolt Street. uh, the deleted scene is it pans to him in his car, and his friends are in there, and their like necks are sliced, and they're dead in his car. And I feel like that, I don't know. I just feel like even just putting in that 10-second scene would have just made everything so much more impactful. I mean, you didn't need it, no, but I think when I saw the deleted scene, I literally was like, why the fuck did they not put that in the movie?
I thought it was like some MPAA thing. It probably is. Like, there's so many stupid MPAA regulations that like you put a certain amount of like death or nudity in it, and it's automatically an NC-17.
Yeah.
And like horror movies specifically are notorious for it. Just because it's a horror movie, if you have like a male ass in it, it becomes NC-17, or like any sort of like thrusting, as many horror movies do. It's like an NC-17 if you show it a certain way. It's
Yeah.
like, what the fuck is that? Like, it's so dumb.
I mean, if that's the reason that they cut it out, then I mean, I guess I get it. But like, I don't know. Like, it's literally like a 10-second long scene. You should have just left it in. Like,
I still want a director's cut of this.
yeah, that's why I watched the deleted scenes when I got the DVD, and I was just scrolling through them, and some of them were kind of just like, nice, but like didn't really matter if he took them out or not. But like, I don't, just that one just felt like it should have been in there, and I'm so disappointed that it wasn't. So if you have a chance to check those out, probably find it on YouTube, I'm assuming, if you just look up It Chapter 1 deleted scenes, if you haven't seen it. I just feel like it really should have been in there. But those are really my only two dislikes from this movie. Everything else, I love it. The humor in it, anything that comes out of Richie's mouth cracks me the fuck up. I have several quotes written on my paper that he's said in this movie, and they're mostly from him because he's so funny, and I cracked the fuck up.
As you were reading, going back to the whole director's cut thing, did Andy say anything about like having a lot of stuff cut out, or was
Not,
it just like most of it was actually in what he wanted?
I feel like most of what he wanted is in. I feel like if he really wanted it in there, it would be in there. So I haven't read anything that said otherwise, that said that he was kind of like disappointed with what had to be cut out. I mean, I guess if you're a director, anything that you have to cut out is kind of disappointing because like you planned the scene to be in the movie. But I don't think there's anything specific that he said. I mean, I could
With
be
him,
wrong,
at
but
least, he's not a product of the studio film, but like he gets studio films. Like he's worked on like Mama
Yeah.
was the other one with Guillermo del Toro,
uh-huh.
and so it's not his first rodeo. Like he's been through this shit. So I wonder if it's just, oh, I'm used to this, so I'm not really gonna care, or if there is stuff that he wanted to put in there that he just could not.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure. I haven't read anything that said anything like that. I just know that, he was excited to take this movie and put his touch on it, basically. And I think he did a fucking incredible job. And like I said, not that I understand the miniseries that came out in 1990 is a classic, and I get that, but I just feel like the way that he took this movie is 100 times better than the miniseries
So
was.
much better than 1990.
I love the fact that he split it into two movies, and yeah, they're two like pretty long movies. So like, if you take the miniseries, it's like 3 hours long, but if you take like It Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 and you combine them, that's probably like 5 hours or so that you're sitting down to watch this like combined. But I think it's a good idea because like you can thoroughly tell the story without having to make it confusing. Like in the miniseries, when you're trying to pan back and forth between the losers as adults and as children, it gets confusing and blurred at points. Whereas you have chapter 1 and chapter 2, where chapter 1 is them as children and then chapter 2 is them as adults, and you can just follow the story like so much better. It's like smooth like butter.
I know the one complaint with Chapter 2 was there's so many flashbacks in it. And that's what people were like, I don't like it because it was like the 1990 miniseries again, where it's just flashback, flashback, flashback.
Yeah.
Like, you need it at that point. Like, every child, like, I mean, Losers Club, they're adults now, but all the adults are going through like their childhood trauma, so like you have to flash back to that
Yeah,
point.
that's what
like,
I
when they're
mean.
finally dealing with it.
Yeah, that's something that I've seen too. Is that a lot of people don't like chapter 2 as much as chapter 1, and I definitely do think I like chapter 1 a little bit better. But I honestly really couldn't pick between either one if I were to like go watch one. Like when I literally do my like monthly or every so often that I come and revisit these, I'm always like, well, which one do I want to watch? Like it's not like a clear like, oh yeah, I want to watch chapter 1 or oh yeah, I want to watch chapter 2. It's just like it's kind of like a flip of a coin. Like they're both okay to me. So
For me, it's usually I want to watch chapter 2 because I've seen chapter 1 so many times.
that's
At
fair.
this point.
I've seen both so many times. That's what it's like a flip of a coin for me. It's just like, am I feeling like do I want to watch them as young people or do I want to watch them as adults? I don't know. It's just a flip of a coin for me. But I I love everything about them. I love the direction that it was and how he split it up like this. He even has a little small cameo in chapter 2 in the pharmacy scene when Eddie's going to get his prescription and he faces the leper in the basement or whatever, but right before that,
Fucking gazebos.
yeah. But right before that, you see Andy in the background, like shopping in the pharmacy, and I thought that was cool. Just like obviously you have the Stephen King cameo as well. Cameo.
Did you?
I think the Stephen King cameo as well as the shopkeeper in the second one, which is also a really like dope thing that happened that he's even in this at all. But if one of the trivias that I read, they were trying to get somebody to play that role that resembled Stephen King, just to kind of like have this like, oh, that kind of looks like Stephen King, and then they actually got Stephen King to play it, and then that was dope.
He always does cameos. I don't know why he don't like, hey, do you want to do this?
Yeah, I don't know, but they were trying to get somebody that looked like him, just to kind of like
Also, all Stephen King cameos in movies now from now on will be called scameos.
cameos.
Yes. SK cameo.
It rolled off my tongue the wrong way. I meant cameos, but yep,
It's cameo now.
Yep. I lost my train of thought.
Worst cameos.
I did. I totally lost where I was gonna go. I feel like I had something to say and I forget. Oh, within that role that he played as the shopkeeper, even though it was such a short role, I feel like it was iconic in a sense because he's obviously Bill comes in here and he's essentially what Stephen King is in the It universe. He's this writer that now has movies and all these things going on, and the shopkeeper Bill comes in and he sees that he's reading his book and he's like, oh, do you want me to sign that for you? And he's like, nah, the ending sucked.
I love that.
Obviously, taking probably what he's heard from some of his works, and it was just so funny to see him say that in the movies.
Well, it's always a common theme, like with Stephen King stuff. Like he always tries to write himself into every single story. Sometimes it works out, but then other times it's like, what's the? Come on, dude.
Yeah.
You stroke your ego a little more. But yeah, like shit like this when he makes cameos and like stupid jokes like that, I fucking love it.
Yeah, I love the fact that he's in it because that means that he really like approved of what Andy was doing to his book and bringing it this whole new life. Kind of how I took it too, and I just love that he's in it and love that he approved of it and really liked it. I think it was. Is it The Shining that he really didn't like the film adaptation?
Yeah, The Shining. He's finally made his peace with it because Mike Flanagan did such a good job with Doctor Sleep. He was like tied both like my story that I wanted to tell with Stanley Kubrick's so well, like so he's made his peace with it now with that, which fucking props to Mike Flanagan for it. Like a decades-long grudge that Stephen King had, he was able to squash.
I didn't know that, but I read somewhere recently that it was like The Shining is the one that he really didn't like, which I think I watched The Shining like once, and from what I remember, I could see why he probably didn't like it that much.
It's good in a film sense. It's not good as a like from book to movie. I forgot the adaptation. It's not a good like book to movie adaptation like at all. It's a good movie. It's a really good fucking movie. It's just it falls flat on like what The Shining's about. I'm pretty sure that we said absolutely nothing about it so far in this episode.
Well, we said a few things, but we keep going off track here, talking about everything else but it.
Straight away, like at least 6 times.
Yeah, we talk about Scream, we're talking about The Shining, we're talking about all kinds of different things besides what we're supposed to be talking about.
It's gonna be a relaxed episode anyway, so we're alright. We're gonna skip the mid-part trailers just because I don't want to edit 2 trailers in there back to back.
Yeah.
It takes up too much time.
And we're combining both movies anyway. We're kind of talking about both at different points, so like it's not going to be how we have typically been doing these so far. So this one's going to be a little bit different, but just for this one, just because we've seen it so many times and we're just talking about both, it's kind of a relaxed episode. So just give a little bit of some information into Chapter 2, since we went over Chapter 1 a little bit. We'll dive back into Chapter 1, but this is just like some background info to Chapter 2. Also streaming on HBO Max if you have an account with them. This movie is 2 hours and 49 minutes long, so almost 3 hours. Another long boy.
It goes quick.
Yeah. But
definitely goes quick.
That's what I mean. Like, if you combine this one and Chapter 1, it's like a 5-hour-long movie. Yeah. If you combine both. Possibly a little bit, I don't know. But, yeah, 2 hours, 49 minutes, so basically another 3 hours. Came out in 2019, like we said. The box office, it made $473 million, which obviously is not the $701 million that the first one made, which is kind of surprising that it didn't meet the same numbers. I know the ratings for this one aren't as great, but you'd think that if Chapter 1 made $700 million.
I think people got fed up with it in between because of how much marketing and how much like merch and toy sales and everything else. Because literally everywhere you went between 2016 and 2019, it was just Stranger Things.
That's true.
So much.
The ratings for this Chapter 2, Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 62%. IMDb is 6.5 out of 10, and Google has an 83. Like we said, for some reason people just don't like this one as much, and I guess I get it, but
it's that flashback thing.
Yeah, that I understand, but I think my personal rating, I gave Chapter 1 a 10, so fear or flop, I'll give it a fear again, and I'll maybe knock it down to like a 9.5, maybe, but I love them both.
Fuck it, I'm just gonna, fear 10. Okay. Fuck everyone else. Fuck you guys who hate the flashbacks. I mean, true. I kind of have beef with the flashbacks. Just because of like how much I didn't like it in 1990s.
Yeah.
But like it's still a really good fucking movie.
Yeah. I think the only reason that I would knock it down to a 9.5 is just because for Chapter 1, I think what I like about it so much is the fact that they're kids running around. Just because of the nostalgia that I feel like with them in the Losers Club. I think I just like that one more just for that reason alone, so that's why I would only knock Chapter 2 down just a little tiny point. But I do appreciate the story as they're adults and them having to come back together because of this blood oath that they did when they were kids, and Mike stays in Derry and he calls them all up, and just the fear that they have as soon as Mike calls all of them, and they just, Richie throws up. He's at his comedy show and he runs out to the balcony and he throws up. Eddie gets into a car crash. Beverly, obviously, she's with her husband that very much so resembles her father, who's very abusive to her, and that whole scene unfolds. Stanley kills himself. All these like terrible things happen as soon as Mike recalls all of them, and it's just like they know, like even they don't remember Pennywise and they don't remember the whole thing because of the curse of the town, and like they left, so they forget everything. They still remembered the fear that they felt, and they weren't sure why when they get to the Chinese restaurant, when they all finally get back together and they start reminiscing, and then they Pennywise comes back into the equation, and they're like, oh, why would you bring us back here? I don't know. I like Chapter 2. I don't know.
I think there might be a lot more scenes that are irrelevant to the story, and that might play into it a little bit. Like the beginning fair scene and stuff, yeah, it's in the book, but like you don't really need it.
Yeah.
It doesn't do much more for the story.
Kind of just like an extra kill and just to bring in an element from a book, I suppose. I know when I went to see it in the theaters, I pointed out that was in the books. I don't remember who I went to go see it with. I know my girlfriend came with me, and I pointed out to her, and I'm like, that was in the book. So like I liked that. I know some people are on kind of like your train, like, yeah, it was irrelevant, didn't really need to be in there, and I get that. That is true. I'm not, denying that. It didn't
Could have
really.
shaved like 15 minutes off.
Yeah, it didn't. There was no relevance to that. It was just kind of like a random couple. I get that, but
I did like the little girl kill though.
Yeah, she was cool. She's actually in the new season of American Horror Story. I don't know if you check that out at all, but she's kind of like entering into the world of horror now as an actress, and I think she's actually doing a really good job.
That's awesome.
Curious to see, what other roles she gets. She's the little girl in Firestarter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Shit.
That's
I
her.
didn't even realize that.
That's what I mean. She's diving into it now. She's like, head on in there. So that's cool. She's a good actress from what I've seen her in so far. Can't wait to see her in Firestarter. I think she'll do a pretty good job in there as well.
I'm not looking forward to Zac Efron. Like, I like him as a person, but like as an actor, I'm still kind of.
Yeah, he played in one of those Ted Bundy.
I didn't
movies.
like it.
I didn't like that one either. I feel like I don't know, his character like took away. I don't. This is where I'm at with that. I know we're straying off the path again. Jesus Christ! But what I liked about it is that they made him this charming dude, which Ted Bundy really was. Like he was like nobody would have assumed that Ted Bundy was going around killing all these girls and what he was doing.
Republicans Club.
Yeah, and even the judge like that was sentencing him. He's like, "Oh, what a waste of a career that you could have had. You're very intelligent, and like you wasted your life." And it's like, so he did play that role well, I think. But I don't know. It just felt weird seeing him as Ted Bundy. I guess I don't know.
It was really fucking weird.
Going from the Disney Channel to murdering ladies, weird.
All right, back on track with
Yes. Reverse, go back. All right. Hopefully that's the last time we get off track. I don't know why we keep.
It's not going
It's
to
probably
be.
not going to be.
Like 3 more tangents.
I don't know why we keep going like complete opposite directions, but whatever. Relaxed episode.
Like, the things that we're bringing up could be complete other episodes, but we're all just bringing it up. Yeah.
We are going to dive into Firestarter soon, so that's that's coming.
Yeah, we got a bunch of Stephen King planned.
Rightfully so.
But I think we should now get into like plot summaries of each. And we went over it last time. It's not much different from the 1990 miniseries.
No. It's basically the same thing. Just
pacing is different, and there's some more stuff added in
reimagined,
because you have more time.
Better graphics, just better
The
story.
special effects in these movies are fucking phenomenal.
They're great.
The mix of practical and CGI works so well. The only problem I have is maybe the Chapter 2 end battle. That's when it starts to get kind of like cartoonish and like way out there, and like you can definitely.
I guess, but I really liked that end battle a lot more than the miniseries, because that miniseries one, I mean, I get it. It was 1990. Those graphics are not supposed to be that great, but
I still like my claymation monsters.
No, like when we were watching that the other week, and I'm just like, oh god,
It's bad. It's definitely bad.
But
just the special effects. The thing that stood out to me so much was that stupid swamp skeleton thing.
I know you were saying that.
But like, it's so shockingly, astoundingly better in chapters 1 and 2.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, rightfully so. It obviously we have the technology now and the graphics that if it was worse, it would be like, why? Like, why are you worse?
Yeah, exactly. Why are we reverting?
There's no reason. For those of you who are joining us, I'm sure you've seen this movie. I'm sure you know who Pennywise is, what the story of it is. But, since Adam here is kind of our more expert into this universe, do you want to give a little of a short background into, why Pennywise is Pennywise, why he takes his form, what's the deal with the turtle? Go into a little bit of that.
This is another tangent that I'm going to have to go
No,
on.
no, don't make it a tangent. Just a brief summary of...
Well, the thing that... With this, it overlaps with, like, the Dark Tower and stuff.
Yes.
And there's a lot more that goes into it with that as well. So, like, we're going to be combining more here, talking about it. Basically, the whole turtle thing within Stephen King's universe. The world is on the shell of this turtle. See the turtle of enormous girth On his shell, he holds the earth. It's the rhyme that is constantly said like throughout the Dark Tower series. And it's the guardian of our universe. We are key Earth, we are the main focal point of all these universes combining. So he basically serves as our protector from these interdimensional forces that can come in from other universes and from that like the Dark Tower world where it's you're going through portals and stuff and the bridges to all these different timelines and branches of Stephen King worlds. So that's basically the whole thing with the turtle is it just serves as the guardian for the earth. He tries to protect us away from Pennywise creatures. But Pennywise is you can call him the Deadlights, I guess. Like Pennywise is the Deadlights are Pennywise to an extent. But he was formed from a dark crevice that's in the Dark Tower world. That just all these creatures, mostly insect like creatures, come out of. That's where you get like his were spider form. Because I think Stephen King just has a thing with spiders. Like he hates spiders, so it turned into Pennywise from that, and like all these weird other creatures that you see throughout his work. He came out of that dark crevice and came to Earth on a meteor in like prehistoric times, and has been living there in Derry for centuries. And every 27 years, he comes out, he feeds, he goes back into hibernation. 27 years, comes out, feeds, hibernation. That's essentially the gist of it. There's not much to it, but it's when you go and dive into Pennywise, there's more creatures like him. Like within Stephen King's The Outsider now, there's one that I think it sadness and like depression that this feeds off of. Like whereas Pennywise feeds on fear, this feeds on depression. And in the Dark Tower series, there's another one called Dandilo, and he feeds off of laughter. Like he will kill you just by making you laugh. It's fucking insane. So
That's Richie in this.
basically. But Pennywise isn't the only one of these weird, like interdimensional feeding creatures. There's more.
Yeah.
More terrifying, honestly, that there's multiple of these. I think Pennywise is the most powerful, though.
Yeah, I think he's terrifying because he's a shapeshifter. Like he shifts into what you're most afraid of. So even when you have this, the battle scene going on in chapter 2 at the end, he's morphing into everything that these people are afraid of. Beverly, he has her father's face that he transforms into, and in chapter 1 when they're fighting him too, Stanley's there and he transforms into that weird painting lady. Like he morphs into what you're most afraid of to get a reaction from you, and that's kind of like what he feeds off of, and I think that's like terrifying.
It is. It really fucking is, because he literally can just read your mind and just be like, "Yep, this is what I'm gonna do now. Fuck you for the rest of your life."
Literally.
Hey, I don't want that ever. Fuck this shit.
So I guess weird question that I just thought of, but if Pennywise were real, what would he scare you with?
I don't know. I think.
It's a good question.
I actually gotta think about it a little bit.
I know, I'm trying to think right now too.
Probably some like weird like sea creature or like alien thing. Like otherworldly stuff like really freaks me the fuck out because it sends me into like an existential tailspin of like what the fuck else is out there. So like whenever I see like open water and like imagining what's beneath that surface. Holy shit, I hate it. It's that Jaws fear kind of, but I'm not afraid of sharks at the same time.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I don't know how he would like encompass that to scare
I don't
you.
know.
But...
It would just be like some weird like malformed sea creature thing.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, I don't like that. It would just make me uncomfortable. Probably not really like terrified.
Still trying to think like what he would encompass for me, but not that I don't have any fears because I don't like bugs. Like there's definitely things that I don't like, but I don't know if there's anything that he could really like transform into that would like make me shit my pants.
What if like the things that I'm afraid of are all like weird body horror-y stuff? Maybe like the leper, but like I wouldn't really. I don't know if that would really freak me out.
Maybe my grandma's boyfriend.
Oh my god. I mean, he is a scary man.
Yeah, maybe if he came back as him and came up in my face like that, I'd be like, whoa. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with right now because I can't think of anything else. My grandma's boyfriend. If you're watching this, my mom, you know what I mean.
We're sorry. I'd also choose Michael's.
I don't know where that came from. That just like popped into my mind. I was like, okay, because
I mean, that would probably be what it would be then.
truly because
If that's the first thing that pops in
I
your
was
mind.
thinking of Beverly and her father, him encompassing her father, and I was just like, whose face would it be for me? And then it was just like a light bulb off in my head, like, oh, that's right, that guy.
Speaking of Bev and her fears, can we talk about how fucking amazing that old lady scene is?
Oh, God.
I love it so much.
Oh goodness! I was watching it the other day with my girlfriend and her siblings, and her little sister cracked the fuck up at that scene. It's cracking up, like
The
hysterical laughing.
dance, like the floss
Yes,
dance,
yes.
is so fucking brilliant, and it's so dumb but like unnerving at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love it.
That's a scene. That is a scene. When they played, that was like in the trailer for when, before it came out, and they kind of played a little clip of that scene as like their first release, and I watched it, and I was just like, I can't wait. I can't wait. This is gonna be great. And I still like I went to go see it, and I do think it's great, but I just that scene that's something. Something. You got this old lady's titties flopping around, and it's
She's
scary
in
just
the
for that.
background flossing.
Oh God.
There's a lot of like good creepy old lady scares in this movie. Like overall, like the librarian too.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
that's one of my favorite scenes as well.
That's in
Stalking in the background.
Yep, in chapter 1, if you're watching when Ben is in the library doing his research before he's friends with the losers, the librarian gives him the book that he's looking for, and he's looking through it, and then you just see the librarian in the background just like menacingly staring at him, and you just know that it's Pennywise. Like it's the way that she's looking at him, and then it cuts back, you don't see her for a second, and then it shows that part again, and it's just a red balloon like leading Ben to the basement of the library, and it's like, yeah, that was Pennywise. And
I love it so much because like when I went with my family, I think I went with my dad and two brothers. Um, when we went to go see it in the theater, I asked them like as we were watching it, like, did you see that in the background? They're like, what are you talking about?
yeah,
Like, I got something. They did it. Yes, I'm paying attention more than that.
I'm always looking for that shit when I watch movies. Like, that's why I like to watch movies multiple times too, because like the first time you're focusing on like the main story and what's happening, and then your second and third watch through, you're more looking at like background characters and things that are going on that you might have missed, and you catch a lot of things watching a movie more than once.
That's why I like revisiting stuff so much,
Yeah.
because like you learn how movies get made and shit as like the more you watch and the more often you watch the same movies. You get the whole picture of like what directors are going for when you watch movies more than once.
Yeah, and there's
Not
definitely
happening with Midsummer though. Fuck you.
yeah, not that one. Fuck that movie. But within chapter 1 and chapter 2, there's a lot of Easter eggs that you can look for while you're watching. There's a bunch of scenes where Pennywise is in the background, and he's encompassing other people, or just in paintings and all kinds of things. Like you see him in like everything that's around, and that's kind of like the point, because he's always there watching you. He's everywhere. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, he basically is Derry.
Yeah.
Because like he just kind of appears into shit. Like you're saying, like he's everywhere. Like it's so fucking
scary.
yeah. He has a hold on this entire town just by being this weird creature. And literally, like all the adults, I like how they portray the adults more in this, because you can definitely tell that there's something going on with all the adults. Whereas, like in the first one, like they were dickheads, but like
That's the curse of the town. That's the
Yeah.
curse of what Pennywise does, is he makes these adults kind of oblivious to what's going on. That's also like if you're watching and the TV in the background that's going on whenever you like see a scene with adults, there's always this TV in the background that's like this message being like it's hypnotizing them in a way. I think at least that's my interpretation of it. But I do know that just Pennywise as this creature that he is, it's his hold on this town, and the adults are oblivious to this. Even in the beginning of chapter 1, when Georgie is his arm is bitten off by Pennywise in the sewer, and the old lady comes out from her house, she sees this blood pile like at the sewer. She sees the blood pile, just kind of looks at it, and then is just like, that's not my job, and then just goes back in her house. What?
Do you think adults are like that, like every single year, or do you think it's only when Pennywise is coming out to feed?
Probably only when he's coming out to feed. That's how I would interpret it anyway. I don't think, because, I mean, he's obviously always there, but when he's out and he's, in his feeding, I feel like that's when he's like most powerful, and is kind of like he needs the adults to kind of be oblivious so that he can just easily kill all these kids.
I think you're wrong. Technically, when he needs to feed, wouldn't he be at his weakest?
I mean, yeah, but that's when you obviously see like all the adults around just don't give a shit. Like they're all fucking dickheads. So, I mean, like I said, probably
I feel like he's being pedantic at this point.
Yeah, it's probably honestly both. I mean, he's like I said, he's always there even when he's not. But it's purposely done. Like the adults are supposed to act that way so that Pennywise can easily just snatch and run, y'all.
Hide your kids, hide your wife.
Yeah, literally.
Climbing in your windows. Snatching people up.
Literally. How did you feel about, in chapter 2, them making Richie's character gay?
It didn't affect the story at all.
Yeah.
Like, it gave, like, more of an emotional impact, and it gave more... I think more value to Eddie's death.
Yeah, only asking because that's not in the book. I have no problem with that, obviously. If you know me, you know my background. I'm not going to go into it, but I fully appreciate that they added that. I'll just say that. And like you said, I think it impacted the story in a positive way because, after in, chapter 2, when Eddie is killed, it just... this whole new meaning, like Richie's, I mean, obviously they're all upset, but like Richie is devastated because that's his like lifelong crush, like that's who he was in love with. So it's like, I think it impacted the story in a positive way, even though it wasn't something that was in the book.
It would have been weird if they kept the child orgy in and
God.
had Richie being gay, and it would have been like, this is problematic.
Yeah, that's true too. I'm glad, the book. The child orgy, which, oh God, I hate saying that, but that is what connects all the losers together, and that's why they have this bond, and that's why they're the ones that can come back and defeat Pennywise. I'm just glad that the movies obviously didn't incorporate that, which I don't think that they could have.
There's no way.
That's what I mean. But I'm
no
glad.
Fucking way.
I'm glad that what they did decide to do is this blood oath thing, where they all slice their hand and they mix their blood or whatever, and then it's like that's how they're bonded. So I think that was a good way to incorporate this bond that they have without making it really weird.
Since we're just a ripoff of the Losers Club, when are we gonna have our blood oath?
Never. I really thought he was gonna ask me for the orgy first.
Well, now that you say it.
No.
Not children.
25-year-old adults with back problems of 40-year-olds, right?
Pretty much. What did you think about the addition of, like, the Ritual of Chud?
I mean, for me, I'm not really, like, too educated on the whole background of, this Stephen King, like, his universe, the Dark Tower, all that.
Well, the Ritual of Chud, it's definitely, like, it's its own kind of thing,
Yeah.
like, only for it. It doesn't have, really, any overlapping.
True.
There's always weird, like, magical shit. It's mostly just the shine, but...
I know we were researching it a little bit before we started this episode, and I know it was, that's a movie itself, right?
Oh, yeah, Chud. It's 84, and
Yes.
It was released in 86. And Chud stands for Cannibalistic Humanoid Underground Dweller, which the Ritual of Chud is so fucking perfect because Pennywise is a cannibalistic humanoid underground dweller. I love it so much, and it has to be a reference, and it's such a great reference.
Yeah, even we were looking at pictures of this monster in that movie, and his eyes are like bright yellow, like he like really resembles, like, not obviously the clown version of it, but like the Deadlights maybe, and it's like you can tell that there was maybe some influence into
There's 100%. Stephen King takes from shit all the time. Like the Dark Tower is just like it's very meta, where it's pulling from all kinds of literature.
yeah.
I mean, that's not literature at that point, but still the same thing.
It was funny to see the connection there, though.
I'm surprised that you didn't know that when I told
didn't.
you about
I did
it.
not know that at all. But I do think that it was funny that in the movie, they have to do this ritual to supposedly defeat it for real and really make him die. And this whole time, Mike is trying to convince them that this is how you do it, and he even spikes Bill's drink so that he can kind of see what he was seeing. And then this whole time, he has the whole fourth side. Or third side. It's a triangle, right?
Yeah.
So then the whole third side scratched off, and just like, don't worry about that. That's the part where they all died and didn't do what they were supposed to do. But no worries, we'll do it. We can do it.
Enough.
Yeah, we can do it. And then they get there and they start doing it, and it's not working.
It's the stupidest thing, honestly. I mean, I get like the whole childhood innocence thing of like it, where it's just you have to believe in order to kill it, but it's so lackluster like when they're mocking Pennywise and that's what's killing him. It's like, what the fuck?
I think it's funny.
So dumb.
I think it's funny though. I mean, I get what you're saying, but I think it's funny because it's like this whole time he's supposed to be scaring them, and then they're finally just like, oh, you know what? No, like, you're scared of us now.
Does Pennywise actually die though?
I mean,
Like,
they take his heart out and like crumble it up,
I'd
or
love
his
to
heart.
see-
I guess he doesn't really have a heart because he's not really Penny.
But exactly, like he is the Deadlights. So what? I think the Deadlights would just either dissipate into like the Dark Tower universe kind of thing, or he just phase out of existence into like another area.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. I never thought about that, but I would assume that like the heart that they pulled out, like that was the Deadlights. Like maybe that was like, I mean, obviously it's in his mouth when he opens up his mouth, but like maybe that was just supposed to represent like that, and that's crushed it up, and then that's the end of him. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going off of the book here too. Like, I don't know what the fuck. He still has to be present. I feel.
Maybe when you look at all these other like iconic horror franchises, look at Halloween. Michael Myers always comes back. Jason always comes back in Friday the 13th. What else?
Freddy always comes back.
What fucking movie was I just watching the other day?
Pinhead always comes back.
I forget, but yeah, that's the point. They always come back. They find a way to come back. So
It's the whole point of it's to instill the sense of like ongoing dread. And I like that with horror. Like that's the point of horror.
it was Candyman.
Was it Candyman really?
That's what I was thinking about. I was like, what movie did I just watch? It was the fucking movie we watched together. What a dumb bitch.
Way to fucking go.
It was Candyman. Candyman always comes back too.
Yeah, definitely.
Even when you think he's supposed to really be dead. So I get it. He might, you know what, Pennywise, you really might still be out there. You never know.
I think he is. And that's probably what it comes down to, is like just drawing your own conclusion to be like, is Pennywise still alive, or did they kill him? Guess it's however you want to interpret it.
Yeah, that's true. It's different for
Like
everybody.
everything else, art is subjective.
Absolutely.
Your life and your experiences translate to how you interpret it. And on that note, I think we're done with it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there are a million other things we could probably talk about if you did a frame by frame in this movie, because there's just so much.
So much, yeah.
So I feel like we touched on the most important things. We dived into the background of him a little bit. We gave you a general plot. I mean, like we said, definitely should have seen these movies by now, so it's not like we're, reviewing some new movie where we really have to go into detail with you guys, but I think we covered the important parts, and maybe you learned a thing or two while listening. Maybe you knew everything already, which might possibly be the case. I know most of this I already knew as well. But
it's so prevalent in pop culture now where it's really hard not to at least get some of the story, like just vicariously.
Yeah, it's a very popular. Like Chapter 1 was the highest grossing horror movie of all time, like we said. So like you should have seen them. You should know a lot of.
And it's still kind of like a second Halloween rolls around. You can't go anywhere without seeing Pennywise.
True. But yeah, no, I think that wraps it up. Any other questions or anything that we missed and you want to inform us on, you can hit us up on our Facebook page. You can message us there. We have an email, a Gmail that you can message us on as well. Just want to give a general shout out again to our pages that you can follow. We have a Facebook page, Instagram page. We have a TikTok, which we're really trying to promote that one just because I think it's 1,000 followers and then you can start going live. So it would be cool to, be able to go live while we're recording or watching the movie or just randomly just to go live, just kind of give you guys a little bit of a look into our lives, I guess, and like how we.
I just want to show everybody our ick faces when we get to like really gory scenes. Like,
that's true. Yeah, so I think that would be cool. So if you have a TikTok account and you wouldn't mind just going over and dropping us a little follow, we'd really appreciate that. Same thing with our YouTube channel. If you wouldn't mind going over there and subscribing to us. We're just trying to really show up in the algorithms a little bit more, and the only way we can do that is if you guys rate our stuff and let us, I guess, go into the algorithms more.
No, yeah, the listeners are the most important part of this. Like, they need. I mean, you can do whatever the hell you want.
Need's not the right word, but what I mean. Just if you can, if you wouldn't mind.
Care.
Yeah, if you would like to see more content from us, and we're trying to get better every episode that we do. We're trying to incorporate more interesting things to talk about. I hope we maybe had a little bit more interesting dialogue in this one. I feel like when we did the mini-series, we were probably a little lackluster just because we didn't like that one as much.
I was falling asleep.
Yeah. So we're trying to, to do better. We're trying to, incorporate more into other pages as well. Like I said, we have the TikTok. We're trying to produce content for that. It's just, we're trying to, not gain a following, but like kind of like we're trying. It's pointless to keep posting on these things if we only have like 4 or 6 followers. Like what is the point? You know what I mean? So it's like we're just trying to just give a general a shout out. We have, I think our Facebook's looking at like 40 now or something like that, like 40 likes, 40 followers. Yep. So like we're getting there. We started and we were stuck at like 20 for a while. So I mean we're slowly improving. We're slowly getting there. Not expecting anything to happen overnight, but just if you wouldn't mind being able to go over and follow our stuff for us, and if you have a friend that that likes horror movies, tell them that you check out this B- podcast on Spotify, YouTube.
It's a B-, yeah. I'd love to say that I'm confident that it's A+ podcast.
Yeah, no.
Our research skills are kind of subpar at this point.
Yeah, give ourselves a B-.
We need you guys.
Yeah, really. But we do appreciate anybody who has, been listening since episode 1. It's we're only episode 5 this is, or
yeah, this is gonna be episode 5.
So I mean we're not super far into it, but we really do appreciate who has stuck around from episode 1, and you guys definitely won't go unnoticed once we're deep into this. And if we ever do gain a following, like the ones that followed from the beginning are obviously going to have the biggest place in our hearts because you were there from the beginning before we didn't have anything. We literally started from those shitty ass mics that we had in episode 1 and 2 that you couldn't even really hear what we were saying. Like it means a lot, basically, is what I'm just trying to say. I'm not trying to get too much.
We might revisit at some point if we ever do like on-site interviews or something.
Yeah.
Which, apologies ahead of time for that if we do, but
yeah,
we'll hopefully get something better by that time.
Yeah, but yeah, just a general thank you, and if you wouldn't mind just going and do those little things for us, just to help us out. But other than that, I really think that's all we have to say. We're moving into Terrifier next. That will be episode 6. Why do I?
And this is gonna be a doozy of a movie.
Never seen it.
Gory.
I've heard that it's very gory though, but I've never seen it, so I'm really excited to watch it.
I know of like one scene that it's bad.
Yeah, I'm excited. I have never seen it. I've heard that it's very gory and definitely a different clown than Pennywise. So.
Oh yeah.
Can't wait to see it.
Art is gonna fuck shit up.
So we're diving into that next, and after that, either Firestarter or Bloody Birthday. Not sure yet, but
It
those
would
are
probably be Firestarter.
probably just because that one's the newest release. That would make more sense. I know I announced previously that it was going to be Bloody Birthday, but we might just move Bloody Birthday back one extra week just so that we can kind of get, a new movie out that's just coming out. So, but like, if you're following our Facebook page, you'll be updated when we post about that. That's kind of where we're communicating with you guys the most is Facebook right now. So follow our page, the Deadlight Society, everywhere. That's, you can look us up wherever, you want to follow us at, and that's our name everywhere. So, yeah, and you have anything else for our listeners?
No, that's everything from me.
All right, y'all. So we'll see you next week for Terrifier. And until then, I don't have a good bye. So
Yeah, we don't really have like an outro thing.
Until then, yeah. Yep.
We have our see you next week, but that's kind of all we come up with.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, we'll see you next week.
See you next
Bye.
week.